What?
Now entering Nerdist.com.
Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. It's the Jackie and Laurie Show. The Jackie and Laurie Show. It's the Jackie and Laurie Show. The Jackie and Laurie Show.
Please clap.
Yes. Yes. Please.
Thank you.
Oh my God. We started off with a Jeb Bush moment.
Oh,
Please
right.
clap. Oh my God. This is us peaking right now.
Do you feel it? Do you feel your career on fire? We're at the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival in Montreal.
Yes. I have an idea for you on a joke.
Okay, can I just say this?
What?
It's so nice to be here at the Montreal Comedy Festival where I can be ignored in person. Instead of just for decades over the internet. Just haircuts, walking by me, just fucking me off.
Oh
Just
my
going,
God.
Yeah.
I had the best, and I have a witness to it, but I will write her name down. Hold on.
Okay, you have 1,000 stories you want to tell me at once.
At once. Okay, hold on. So this woman saw it. So I don't want to get her in trouble in case the executive will be like, hey, that was me. But it's her, okay? So,
I know that person.
Yes, she's
there.
great.
We go.
This
Here
isn't
at
the
the
one
live show, by the way, you get to see the name at the live show. That's why everyone should come to see the live stand-up
She can
comedy.
confirm that I wasn't lying. That's all I'm saying. And she didn't do it. So I was talking to her, that lady who you're all going to see. Okay. And
whether or not you know her,
somebody walks up. A young woman walks up, and she's wearing light blue. So she's not a performer, right? So she's an executive. Her
lanyard?
Her lanyard, yes, or her badge, the rope, not the rope.
You know what color the different lanyard? Good for you.
Yeah, now I know who to talk to, Jackie.
All right. That's why
you avoid the light blues.
Okay.
That's how you have
avoid
a career.
The light blues. I just look for a $300 haircut and I turn around.
Okay, so those two were talking, and I thought it was a comic at first. I thought she was a comic at first, and then she didn't even look at me. It was just the three of us in this little corner of the Hyatt bar.
Yeah.
And so finally our friend says, oh, hey, do you know Laurie, right? And I stick out my hand, and there's nothing else to distract you. My hand is right out there.
Yep.
And she turns away to somebody else and just starts a conversation.
Oh.
I was like, what? And I asked this girl, I go, did you see that? She goes, yeah, let's go. This is really uncomfortable. I couldn't believe that. And I don't even want to go out to the Hyatt, but I've been looking for that bitch every night since then. I want to introduce myself to her. I want to make her meet me.
Yeah, exactly. You're not wrong.
That was deliberate, and my witness will testify that it was deliberate because she was shocked as well.
Right.
Okay.
And did you know who the exec was?
No. I mean, she said who it was in it.
But you can't remember.
The network, yeah. But I want to find her myself. I hope she's here.
She's sitting. Wait. You had an idea for a joke of mine.
Okay, so the thing where everyone thinks you're the shitty middle-aged white lady. Do the hashtags afterwards. So get them on. So everyone thinks you're
Barbecue Betty or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
do that afterwards. Just explain it up top. Everyone thinks I'm that middle-aged white lady that's calling the cops on black people.
Right.
And then they're there with you. And then you could do 40 of those tags. You could just
I
keep
could
going.
make up my own tags.
Yes.
Wait,
yes.
It's called writing comedy, you guys. Interesting. I tend to just tell a real story and hope everyone laughs.
Boo.
So
I like lies. I like comedy that lies.
I like lies.
So yeah, that could go crazy, and then you call it back 50 times.
All right.
But I think I got a little greedy with my uncle callbacks on this set. But you know what?
No.
I set it up for a reason.
Exactly.
I love talking to Jackie when she's making notes. It's great. I feel
well,
like Jackie out on the Hyatt convention floor right now, being totally ignored.
No, you're right.
Dude, I'll tell you that after the show. Okay?
You will
don't have
not.
to
You'll
freaking
forget.
write the whole
it's
thing
not
right
okay.
down.
It's not all right.
All right.
Anyway, so I was having breakfast at the Expectations, you guys.
My favorite.
Why wouldn't I?
So good. I just had a second day of high rice pancakes there.
Oh, wow. All right. I have this to say. It's hard to get out of this building, and I don't like it. I don't like it. Every door in this Hyatt doesn't lead. I literally, before my show last night, I'm wandering in that mall going, where is the outside? Does anyone know where the sun is being kept?
I'm tired of getting SOS texts from you. Where am I? Taking pictures of various ballrooms. Where am I?
But I have no sense of direction. I've never had a sense of direction. I don't get a lot of my self-esteem for my sense of direction, so I don't care if you hate my sense of direction. But there is a magnet next to the compass in my brain. If we lived in an earlier time, I would not be alive. I would have been murdered by an animal.
But that's for your eyesight, not even for your compass.
Oh, for any number of things. The fact that my foot hurts. Other people could outrun me, and then the bear would get me. There's a bumper sticker in there somewhere, you guys. Just dig around a little bit. Okay.
Look, you're descending into some riff hell I can't get you out of.
Okay.
But don't write everything down.
I have to write things down because
Kyle figure out titles.
Kyle needs words.
I am outraged at our time slot.
I know you're outraged at our time slot. As 6 people get up and realize that Andy Kindler's State of the Industry
started 7 minutes ago. The one where, see where all the seats are? All the people that they thought would be sitting here are watching the only thing anyone wants to see, which is Kindler's State of the Industry.
I'm desperate to hear you and you talk about stand-up comedy, as are these 37 people. There you go.
34. Okay.
How awesome that you fucking counted them.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I just eyeballed
But I mean, we were both going to be up here, so I said, hey, let's do a podcast. And so easily it happened. I was like, wow, why is that time slot so available? And they said yes immediately.
Right. So I'm going to finish my expectation, though, thing.
Sorry.
Which is, no, that's okay. Right next to me, I was having an industry breakfast, you guys, which was just me and Dan Dion having breakfast. So that's, he's in the industry. He's in a industry. We're doing something. Textiles?
Yes.
So, but next to us, Jim Norton.
Yeah.
Jim Norton and his pile of haircuts that work for him, right? So,
his people or other comics?
His people.
Oh, okay.
They didn't seem funny.
Okay. So they were his people.
They seemed enormously efficient. Is that something?
Yes.
So I didn't recognize him because he's lost like 60 pounds.
Yes, he's very slender.
He probably recognized me because I've gained 30, so it's important. But he's, so there was a hair in his breakfast.
Oh.
Yeah, and he held it up for like almost a minute so that everyone could, and he said, "There's a hair." And I could only think, worse things than that have been in your mouth, sir. Just eat your breakfast, build an immune system. But nope, he had to hold it up. The guy came over, he replaced his breakfast, and then the bill came, and Norton wouldn't pay it.
Oh.
And I was like, wow, the tiniest amount of power leads to Canadian dollar. It's 75 cents on the dollar right now for the US dollar.
Right.
Fucking pay for the what you ate the.
I see what you're. I could see. I hate to be that person, but I could see both sides.
Well, that's because I don't know why.
They could
I don't know
have
why
said,
you would take his side and not mine.
I know,
No,
but
anyway.
you might have some other animosity that's bleeding into your story.
Into my Norton? No, I don't
Yes,
care about
okay.
Norton. I'm so sorry. I could
can
give
see
a
both
shit.
sides.
I hope it all works out.
I do hope they left a big tip because it's not the waiter's fault that the chef's losing his hair into people's food. That's why I got pancakes. You don't get hair in pancakes.
There's no hair in pancakes?
I don't think so. They see it before they flip it, right? They would pull it out. There's no visible hair. Although my teeth feel freshly flossed.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Okay, so we have this horrible time slide.
Yeah.
And the award show.
Oh, right. What you just, get this. I went down there at 2.
Yeah.
Because it started at 3.
Right.
And at
Why did you get
2:55, I got bored and I came up here.
Why did you get there so early?
Because I was I was pretending that leaving my room was going to be social enough. So what I did was I was alone in other rooms playing Marvel Puzzle Quest instead of in my own room playing Marvel Puzzle Quest, which is a game on my phone.
Okay.
So, but you were down there at like 3 and saw most of it, right?
I got in at 3:15. Well, hold on. Let me just back into this story. Because then I was at Egg Place.
Where you went to the Egg Place for lunch.
And so I went, I'm always dine alone, right?
Do you like to dine alone?
Yes. I have President Hillary Clinton tweets to craft. I've always got stuff to do. So, so I'm sitting there and okay, and she's this person I really love, and I RSVP to her birthday party, and I forgot to go. So
shit.
She's sitting right behind. She's like at the table. Hey, how you doing, Laurie? I'm like, oh my God, I just remembered right then
that she was born.
Yes,
and had a gathering to
I missed her
commemorate
birthday
it.
party.
Yes.
So she's having an industry, breakfast, and then her
With
industry
Dan
person
Dion,
leaves.
I hope.
No.
Okay.
And then she invited me to sit with her, and I'm like, do I apologize? But then I was searching her eyes for resentment, and I saw none. So I didn't bring it up. But I thought maybe she thinks I went secretly. Like, I'm sure a lot of people did go, So that's why I was late to the awards thing. I had to mend that friendship without doing it,
without actually saying anything, but
without
just using
apologizing.
telekinesis. Yes.
Yes. So then I'm watching. It's very good. Joe Coy was really funny.
I don't know who that is. Who is it?
He won.
I'm in a different part of the
industry.
industry that doesn't know who anybody is. Joe Coy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's his name.
No. I'm making a note of it so that when the next time I hear it, I
finally
can
you
go.
know you're not fucking writing down while I'm talking to you. Wow, that's a rare feeling for me. So he was really funny. And then people were good, and then
people were good. People got awards, right?
People got awards.
It's an award ceremony by Montreal's Comedy Festival for people in Montreal's Comedy Festival to celebrate how much they love their work in the festival.
You're like the Morgan Freeman of this podcast. You just narrate and explain everything. Okay. So
I'm just mostly explaining it to myself because it really seems dumb. Okay, so
it is kind of dumb.
Let's just do stand-up. Yeah. Anyway,
but who doesn't love to give themselves awards? Come on, that's what.
Right. I love a parade. I would like a parade.
Yeah. So Maria gets up to give Hannah Gadsby an award, and Maria talks very, eloquently and very funny, and she's her hand was shaking, and she goes, "Well, weakness is my brand. I'm not going to stop it." Right. It was great when again, I can't do a Maria line, but it was really, really funny.
Right, that's a great line.
Yes, and so then she demanded, or she asked that JFL, now that it's been bought by Howie Mandel and TELUS, which is a gigantic phone company, that they start paying for the new faces at least their airfare, so they don't get in the hole. And maybe I don't know why they shouldn't get a profit for coming up here. If you're going to deny them a profit, okay, I guess, but at least don't let these guys who are and women who are really poor, a lot of them don't have the money to buy airfare to Montreal with 2 weeks notice.
Okay, what you should know is that there's several different tiers. Pardon me, I'm going to Morgan Freeman this. But there are different tiers of comics who come to the show, right? Who come to Montreal. If you do a gala, which you did,
yes,
that's the only thing where there's any real money.
Right.
You are given like $1,000 or $2,000 or something to do a gala. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. And so I did not do a gala. The last time I did one, it was $1,000. So
you got to do a gala again.
Disappointed. Except for that, I heard that the gala, it's just like a cruise ship. You said line was that it was like
maybe
a cruise
he
ship?
didn't want that on a podcast.
That's it's a funny line.
No, well, we have to. Can when she said that? We got to take that out.
You want to take out his name?
No.
All right. Or I don't know. Write down the time code of that, please, and then we'll make a note.
Listen. So here's what it's like, because it's a giant theater. It's not like an intimate situation, right? So it's a different kind of performing, and it's like you tell a joke, there's a laugh, then it stops. Then you tell another joke, there's a laugh, and it stops. I mean, it is a different kind.
And it's not for any specific audience. Like it's not Maria's crowd. It's not your crowd.
No,
they're not fans of yours that have come to see the show.
Right.
It's just massive it's a comedy.
It's gala fans.
It's gala
It's a lot
fans.
of people that come every single year to the gala to see whoever's on stage. So it's a different kind of performing, but you do get paid for it.
And you get paid for it. Now there are new faces and there are unrepped new faces. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think
there's two different versions of that. And the unrepped new faces, when I did new faces, I think it was in 2003 or 2004, back in the 12th century, you guys, I was given air, hotel, and a per diem. And then they stopped doing air or hotel, and they were making the younger comics or the newer comics stay wherever they could, and then they had to pay their own air. But I think they got a per diem. And about 3 years ago, they started giving them hotel, no air, and a per diem. So Maria luckily
it's a
piped
tax
up.
on the poor, basically. It's like how you have
did
higher
you
interest
know-
rates if you're poor than if you can afford to pay your credit card off every month.
Do you know that the Canada Council for the Arts supports the arts here in Canada, but comedy is not considered an art? They support no comedy, not sketch comedy, not theater comedy, not stand-up comedy, not
But
considered an art.
Maybe they've been to a bringer show. and
I can name any number of comics that maybe they've
Yeah.
seen. But I swear to God, we've all seen shitty opera, right? Why do they get a grant? Who hasn't seen someone who can't sing opera? I have. And so, anyway, so Maria literally, and this is funny because 2 years ago, the last time I was here, she got an award.
Yeah.
And at that one, she used that venue in front of the Canadian comedy community to say, hey, I understand if you work Yuck Yucks, you don't get to work any other comedy clubs in Canada. And there was a lot of silence. And then she said, but thanks for the trophy. And then fucked
Well, that's
off.
great because she has nothing to lose with that.
Right, she does not have a horse in the Yuck Yuck race because no one at Yuck Yucks, she would not like Yuck Yucks.
Yeah.
Yuck Yucks audiences have not been trained to listen to nuanced stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
They would love me. I am the golden retriever of stand-up comedy. So everyone would be fine. I would adapt. And I would insist that they liked my comedy.
I watched your show last night. I went to your show at Théâtre Catherine.
Oh, wow. Were we going to do this in French? Si j'étais un garçon, j'aurais dit.
Nicaragua, 20 minutes ago.
It's all that's
okay.
It's
all
all
right.
that's left of 5 semesters of French, by the way, is the if-then statement.
I was so uncomfortable in this chair. I don't know how people watch comedy. All the chairs should be like this. Those are very comfortable chairs too.
How are those ones doing for watching a thing?
Yes,
It's all right.
But I was squirming.
It was a folding sort of.
Yeah. I used to be a fan of uncomfortable seats for the audience because. You don't want them like this. But what I'm thinking, what if people start getting used to stand-up? They're watching stand-up at home on Netflix, and they're curled up in their favorite comfy chair. Why would they want to come to a folding chair to see it live?
I don't think the seating is really of an issue. People are just psyched to be able to sit. I don't know that
no,
they're
I don't
looking
think
for
so. I
different
think
kinds
people
of
can
chairs.
sit any place they want to. I don't think anyone's psyched to sit.
Oh, I don't. Are you an American? What's happening? Haven't you ever heard that Karen Rontowski bit about?
I'm a Luxembourger. What?
That's right. You have dual citizenship.
That's right.
She's running. You and the boy.
So
yep.
so at the gala,
Yeah.
so we didn't have any input on our intros.
Really?
Yeah, so my intro at the gala was, she has a special called 45 Jokes About My Dead Dad. And I'm like, well, yeah, and it's buried because the company, because CISA went out of business.
Right. Feel free to try to find it.
Yeah, good luck. Let me know if you find it because it's an illegal streaming download at that point. Hey, I just wrote a book. You could have plugged that. And
Right.
It's also about death. I mean,
It's
if you
also-
like the topic,
Right,
I'm all over it.
If you wanted to introduce me to bring everyone down, her dad died, and she wrote a book about it. And now the comedy stylings.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
But I kind of just ignored it. But it was weird because a couple of intros were another comic had to address her intro in her set. Like she had to
Because
open
it was
by,
so weird.
Yeah, because the intro is, well, she said something.
Right.
And she didn't say that. And I think she was probably backstage going, no.
I have to deny that I actually made that statement before I get into my act.
I don't know, whatever.
That is weird. Okay, so I don't know.
I think they can cut around it, though, because then there was a nice pause, and then she started a regular set.
The last TV set I did in Canada, I think, was for HBO Canada.
Right.
And they asked me what the final line of my set was. And Judah Friedlander told me later that you always say that your last line of your set is, thank you very much. Because if you don't, they might screw up your set. And that is exactly what happened. They cut the last punchline from a joke.
Wait,
and
you did it, or the band started, or something?
They just cut my mic. And so they
cut your mic?
They cut the mic.
Oh. So if you...
The audio woman was devastated, and I felt bad for her. But guess what? Felt worse for myself because my joke is fucked up.
we
Wrote
had
a joke.
a countdown in the back of the room which I didn't look at once until I finished, and I think I went like 30 seconds under or something, which is weird because I was going a little bit long, like maybe 7. Well, I did 7:01. I was supposed to do a 7-minute set. And I did 7:01.
Oh, on
Colleen
the test?
showed me my splits. She's like, you went 7:01.52. I'm like, I'll try to cut that second and a half off.
Right.
And then it went to like 7:30 at this. I did the show yesterday afternoon.
So you were just hoping for no laughs? Is that what you were hoping for?
No.
7:30, like because.
No. I did a show at like a cancer a recovery center, and those were like really nice long laughs. And so then I went into 7:30, and I was like, oh, maybe. I did 2 jokes about. I just did them in front of you, the ACL jokes. They're really new, and I don't have them burned on my brain, right? That, like the other jokes I could do in my sleep, although you wouldn't know it from what the show I just gave these guys, because I did my gala, and I'm like, okay, I'm done with comedy forever, or at least till Tuesday.
Hello, Hannah Gadsby.
I just want to see Hannah's set and just like decompress, because I've been so worried about this set and trying to focus. I'm trying to figure out that uncle joke. You wouldn't believe how long I've been working on that fucking joke. Like a year and a half. I have so many different versions. I know. So many different versions of it. And I think that's the cleanest, tightest one. And I just got it like maybe a week ago, where I'm like, oh, that's it, finally. So anyway, I was really happy to forget my act. But the ACL stuff's very new, and because my kid's injury was very new. I mean, he could have helped me by doing it, 6 months ago.
Right, 6-8 months ago.
Chunk it out a little bit.
Exactly.
But I do think that those 2 jokes will be better in a year because there's way more there.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's so. Yeah, no, I liked. I think it's good. I think the uncle stuff is working really good too, because you get it peppered through a bunch of different bits.
It's too many callbacks in 7 minutes, but over like a 40 to 45 minute to 60 minute set, if I can, put an hour together this year, it's
and bringing the uncles throughout the whole as a through line.
It's called weaving. I'm making a tapestry, Jackie.
Are you making a tapestry? Have you ever seen that tapestry with the unicorns? Anyway,
no,
really nice. It's up. It's in the cloisters in north. It's north of where.
Yes, I've been to the cloisters.
You've been to the cloisters in New York City. Mm-hmm. They have those. They're famous tapestries. They got unicorns. Nothing. All right.
Why would these people applaud a unicorn tapestry?
The benefits of a classical education. Come on along. Me and Alan Rickman from Die Hard.
So Mark Maron, I noticed at your show last, because I was sitting up above in very uncomfortable seats, full head of hair, every single place. At one, because I don't know, I was just checking. And like he bent down, and the part goes all the way back, and it's fucking all hair.
Yeah,
he's very lucky.
Oh, you're talking about how the aging process has not yet affected his hair.
It skipped him, and he did so much shit to himself, right? He drank,
He's
did
on
a lot
Glow
of drugs.
now. I guess typecasting. He's playing a cokehead. It was back in the 90s. He was early. 90s was.
His body survived what he did to it pretty well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he did. It's had a big beard too.
Yeah,
it was a lot of beard for me.
I like it.
You like a big beard?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm all right.
It's a good look for him.
I'd like a little tidier look.
Chris Hardwick is
Turns
back.
out it's his face. He can do whatever he wants.
Chris Hardwick is back.
Hardwick's back,
we
you
gotta
guys.
have Hardwick, guys.
I don't know if you guys know this, but The Walking Dead cannot be discussed without Chris Hardwick letting us know what he thought about zombies. So,
it was Yvette Brown. Doesn't she have 3 names?
The ex-girlfriend?
No. She's African-American actress who was a part. Pardon me? Yeah, Yvette Nicole Brown. Yeah, so
nice. Well played.
She took over his slot at Comic-Con, and everyone was like, he wasn't missed. She did great. And how cool would it be to have her doing it?
And they're like, oh, too much. Both a woman and a person of color, heaven forfend.
Well, we gotta
get this white guy back.
Mr. Hurst back. And
Mr. Hurst. That's funny.
One of the things that I loved about Hannah's special is she's just like, I'm so tired of worrying about the reputation of white men. And I was like, yeah, I am too. Like, even if, James Gunn, like Bob Cat wrote this kind of cool, thing about James Gunn, what a great guy he was. And I was like, okay. But I know so many female, I think I said this last podcast too, but I just don't care if Chris Hardwick is rehabilitated or not. And I'm tired of like being forced to
Well, it sounded like he was just a super shitty boyfriend.
It did.
And I don't know how... I mean, we're the last generation of women to cut anybody some slack, by the way. So live it up.
We are going to be more popular with male comics. Once they realize the young female comics won't put up with this shit, they're going to love us.
Yeah, finally. And but I think that it's the James Gunn thing. It was the statute of limitations on a shitty tweet. Let's go 7 years. What about that? Just like insurance.
Yeah.
Like if he hasn't been a piece of shit for 7 years, I think he's probably learned his lesson.
I totally agree, but then part of me is like, yeah, but maybe they'll have a female director. You know what I mean?
Right.
Of the last one.
Well, it'd be nice. Well, Guardians, I have 2.
See, here's the thing. Oh yeah, it's that what happened to him sucked. But what happens to so many women and people of color that aren't even considered, that sucks too. But you just don't hear about it because they figure out other ways to pay the rent. You know, I don't know. It was too much for me to invest emotionally, even though it was trending on Twitter.
And even though it was trending on
Normally
Twitter.
I love to jump all over anything that's trending on Twitter.
You don't want to hear my theories about the great Guardians of the Galaxy movies?
No, I don't.
Okay, I didn't think you did.
And Lil Ray won an award, and he talked about segregated comedy rooms. And I guess I didn't know there was still like a Chitlin circuit? Yeah, I didn't really realize that. I mean, I knew that there was like Southern rooms when we were on the road a lot that nobody but Southern acts could work.
Yeah.
You know, and but I didn't know.
Well, there's Joelle Johnson. Do you remember Joelle?
Yeah.
Okay, so she the last time or the first time I did Atlanta, she was like, "Hey, we're going to the Black Club. Do you want to come to the Black Club?" And I said, "There's a Black Club?" And then and it was full of humans, full of people coming to see stand-up comedy at like 11 o'clock at night on a Friday or Saturday. And it was, the only person they asked to go up was Maria. And Maria said, I think not. And I was like, I have my set list. And they're like, nope. And so it was fine. But it was, there's comedy clubs that are in essentially, that usually just book black comics.
Yeah.
And then when white clubs book black comics, they call them urban. And it makes me want to punch everyone in the nose.
Yeah.
Because you're just like,
really lazy.
Just, why don't you just, not lie to yourself and just be as racist as you're going to be so I know what rock you climbed out from under. And then second of all, don't do it. How about you just book everybody everywhere?
You've given them 2 opposing options.
I know. Do you know why? Because that just opens it right up for them, doesn't it? Then they can do whatever they want. That one? Look at this one. Felicia Michaels, ladies and gentlemen.
Felicia, hey!
Previous comic of the week,
yes.
Felicia Michaels.
And a great photographer.
It's
weird when comics have other skills. It makes me angry.
Yeah.
Because I don't. How dare she?
You're like, why? As you have written 2 books. Yeah, you don't have any other skills.
It's just jokes on paper.
Oh, fair enough.
But I did go swimming today. I was at the YMCA.
You went to the Y? You're at the Montreal?
Yeah, I joined the Y for the week. It's $39. Pretty good deal. 5 lanes pool. Okay, I've never seen a more used pool in my life. I mean, every lane is packed with people. I walked in, I'm like, oh, I got to lower my expectations for my swim. I'm not doing intervals because I'm just swimming around people or I'm dodging people.
These are all words.
It was mayhem, but once I lowered my expectation, I was like, let me just try to get the amount of meters in that I want to swim, however long it takes, however times I get kicked in the head. Because
of how you swim, do you understand the metric system?
No.
Okay.
Well,
thank you.
It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, like our system. So in that way, I understand numbers in sequence. But
wait a minute.
Well, I didn't want to say. Usually, the term is yardage. Like you try to get a certain amount of yardage in when you're swimming. But of course, that wouldn't make sense when I'm swimming in a 25-meter pool.
Okay.
But it is fucking with my stroke because it's a little bit longer, but not that much longer.
Fucking with my stroke.
Sorry.
And that's going to take me to the fact that I gave Dan Dion my first chapter. Supposedly I'm writing a funny romance novel. novel. And so I wrote the first chapter, and then I sent it off to my friend to correct my punctuation, because I use commas as breath marks. So I don't know what I'm doing, in other words. And so she fixed it, and then I read it out loud to Maria Bamford. And,
that's great.
Yeah, and I've read it to Andy and Maria, neither of whom read romance novels.
Did Andy get aroused?
Well, it isn't the Sexy Times chapter.
Oh, it's the intro.
Yeah, it's the intro chapter. I have to write 2 chapters and then an outline, and then Audible will tell me if they want me to write the whole book. And but they are paying me to write the spec, so that's
great.
Lovely as well. So I feel very grateful, very lucky. Anyway, but Maria heard and so what I've done is I've taken all the tropes of all the romance novels currently at work. Barring whatever, the newer ones. Anyway, so, and I put them all in the first chapter. So there are things that are funny if you read romance novels. And then I read it, and Maria said the nicest thing, and I have to tell everybody because it was a nice thing, and I'm living on it, which is that it sounded like a book. And yeah. I know that sounds ridiculous, but seriously, it could have just been a pile of dick jokes, right? Because it's supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be funny, and it's supposed to be a romance novel. But if it's also a book, if Audible doesn't want it, I can sell it possibly to book people.
Let me say, you're easy to compliment.
That has always been true.
You guys could come up to us afterward and say, that sounded like a podcast. And Jackie couldn't be happier.
Let's do Comic of the Week.
Oh, is it 30 already?
It is, yeah. We're cruising right along. We went Canadian, you guys. We went with a Canadian Comic of the Week. Every week we like to announce a comic, and you've seen her a lot more than I have.
I just worked with her. We did our warm-ups for the gala. She taped her gala later on the same night that I taped mine, and it's Jess Salomon.
Jess Salomon.
Super.
There you go. You guys know Jess Salomon?
You guys know her? Yeah, she's great. And this is our first our first married couple that's both made Comic of the Week.
That's right, because
her wife is Imani Al Husseini. Is it? Yeah.
Nailed it.
I'm glad we have Canadians here. Yes. And their married name is like Sal Husseini. I don't know. It's great. It's
yeah, they did a mashup.
Yeah.
But Jess Salomon on Twitter is Jess_Salomon.
SALOMON.
Yeah, so it's SALOM.
And she's very funny.
Yeah,
very
really funny.
Very smart. I really liked her set a lot.
So she is our Comic of the Week. Get out there, see her do stand-up comedy.
And she has really cool glasses. Like
she
has some gold frame glasses that are kind of half aviator, but circular. So I guess they're not aviator.
Guess what's back?
What?
Aviator glasses, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So,
how many more shows do you have?
I'm opening for Maria in about 2 hours.
2 hours. And how much are you doing?
I'll just do, I'm to do 25.
Okay.
So I'll do between 20 and 25, hopefully not go over. And then she'll do her hour, because she's working on a new hour. Because if you saw her last special, which was called Old Baby, she's not doing any of that material. She's doing...
How the fuck are people coming up with new hours like this? I don't understand it.
Well, if only your son would also do handstands, you would have other jokes.
I think it's really neat how the Australians just go, they do an hour, and then they throw it away after festival season, and they start over. I don't know. I can't conceive of that. It's not how I
that's not how you
very
write.
Slowly.
Yeah.
But I'd like to try it one day, but it won't be at this point in my life, because right now I just move in 7-minute increments. Like the set I did at the gala is, I guess I've been writing that since I dumped the other set onto Conan.
Right.
And I was like, all right, let me create another late night set. I thought it was
That's
right.
Do it on That's Conan. Exactly what you've been doing.
So now I'm like, all right, that 7 minutes is done. Let me see if I can.
You just did 2 weeks on the road, and they were 12. 45 to an hour.
Sure.
Sets.
Oh yeah. No.
What'd you do? Did you go to the vault?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
I mean, most of it's new stuff or stuff that's not on my album that I put out in 2009 that I disavow, as every comic should disavow everything they did that's more than 2 years old. I disavow every joke on that album. But so I just admire that ability to do it. But maybe one day there'll be a time in my life where I can just do that. I don't know how they do it. How do you go up the first time after you've lost an hour and you get up on stage and you've got to fill another hour without doing anything old, how does the audience not get angry with you? That's what I don't understand. We have an obligation to do well in front of the audience, and you're just going to go up with nothing? How do people do that?
Right. I think it's its own learned skill, right? I mean, I tend to rehash. I tend to go do old stuff, but also write a lot of new stuff that doesn't really have punchlines. And I will tell stories and jokes and stuff where the audience is just sort of, oh, this is an interesting tale. And then there's not a lot of punchlines, but I'll work on it for 6 months and I'll tighten up something that's 12 minutes into a 4-minute bit. And in those 6 months, I'll write punchlines in it.
I can't handle that feeling of seeing the audience going, huh?
Right. You don't want that kind of interest. You don't want that kind of interest. You just want them to yuck it up and then get the fuck out. Get away from
I
me.
want to tell jokes and leave town. That's all I want.
You're the craziest
Why am I
sheriff.
the bad guy?
Why am I the bad guy?
But there must be, I guess, for, say your Netflix special drops, but it drops maybe 3 months after you shot it. So you have that 3 months to build a little bit, but maybe 15 minutes at the most. And then you're like, so what do you do for a living? Is that,
No, that's not how you do it.
I don't know. I mean, I know Mike Birbiglia went to Bloomington and he charged less, or maybe it was like almost free because he was basically like, I'm starting from scratch, and I don't, and it was like a really the audience knew ahead of time, low expectations.
Robin Williams did that at Acme. He did a week of shows,
and look what happened to him. Come on, guys, it's been over a year, okay? It's been over a year, and if he were here, he would be laughing at that. And stealing it. Okay, now guys, listen.
I don't even know what to say to any of that. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Yeah, I don't think that there's any reason to, I think it's a conscious decision. You have to go, I don't want to do, like even now I'm working on this new hour and there's old jokes that lead into the new jokes and I feel like they have to be there to set up the new joke.
Yeah.
And if I have on my albums, there's like probably 2 or 3 lines that repeat on each of the albums. And I will get some crazy nerd who emails me and goes, you repeated that. And I was like, yeah, thanks for transcribing my album for me. I was there. But if there's no way to set up a new story about my dad if you don't know that he was an aluminum siding salesman and he's a salesman guy. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I have to, and if I have to use an old line to get into a new joke, I don't feel bad about it.
I
feel
smart.
a little bad about it because I'm saying it out loud. Yeah. I clearly have some issues with it, but I don't want to feel bad about it because just listen to the next fucking sentence. It's all going to work out. It's going to be fine.
You know what's weird? I was maybe this is from writing monologue jokes, but I'm very much like one sentence is your setup and the next one is the punchline. And anything more in the setup it turns into exposition, right? Like this joke I told just now with you guys, which has been driving me nuts, is the joke where my son was at my dad's funeral and bugging me for the iPhone. Okay, so that's one sentence. The second sentence is, later we were talking about how my dad died. My dad had lung cancer. Yeah. Okay, so I need to say the iPhone sentence to get people in the head of video games without saying it, because the punchline is Minecraft. And if I just started with my son and I were talking about lung cancer, it would take people a second to know that he was bugging me for the iPhone, right?
Right. And so
I need to give you a couple clues up front. But what's bugging me is I should have a joke about him bugging me for the iPhone and then do the second lung cancer one. That should be 2 jokes, and instead it's 2 setups and 1 joke, and I want to fix it, but I didn't have time to do it before this thing. But it's driving me nuts. And I've been watching some other people, and again, this is probably nothing I would have thought of before I started working for Conan, where we just Every word is measured. Everything's taken out that's fat. And I'm like, you just did 2 setups for one punchline. And like I watched a gala set yesterday where the comic talked very broadly about something, and I thought the next joke would be about it, and then he got very narrow, and then the joke was about that narrow thing, and I'm like, you could have started with the narrow setup and used that broad one for a different one. You didn't need the information in the broad setup for the narrow one to work.
Right. There's so many different ways to do stand-up comedy.
No, there's only my way.
Well, that's what I understand. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is that your way, as much as I want to respect it, it's wrong. And so...
But my way leads to only 5 new minutes of material a year.
Right.
That's the problem.
Right. I have 4 albums, and I just got my Sound Exchange money.
Oh, you asshole.
I know it. It's
you
all
know
working
when
out.
you go Sound Exchange, you are really being cruel.
It's pretty great every 24th of the month. So what I would say is that there's so many different ways of doing it, and the way that you do it is, it's beautiful. I mean, when it's done, the jokes are there. You've cut them with a scalpel. They hit so hard, and it's great. But it's not. I would be fascinated to see you go up with just your notebook and some stories.
No, you wouldn't. You'd be bored shitless. You wouldn't be fascinated.
That's what this podcast is, though. And nobody's bored by this.
No, because you're here. If I was just talking by myself, it would be really boring.
Yeah, they would all leave. No, they would not leave. You are beloved, and it's all working out. So I did a set the other night at the Improv Lab in Los Angeles, California, and so I was talking to a comic that I met at...
Can I tell you something for a second?
Yeah.
Just now in my head, I'm like, she didn't need to say California. That's how I live.
That is how you live.
If I hear an extra word, I'm like...
It's so fucking exhausting. I don't even know what to do with that. And it's thoughts and prayers. Okay, so that's what I have to say to that. And so, and I don't know, should I name... So this woman that I met in 1996, comic, and she stopped doing stand-up and then started again probably a couple of years ago, but has always written. And she was just weirdly, she just kept laughing at me. Like I went to Eddie to the bar and to get, I think I got a juice mixer, you guys, also extraneous information.
I thought, oh my God, Jackie broke her sobriety. Man, this podcast is going to be exciting.
But it's Paula Bell. And Paula Bell
She's so fucking funny. Why isn't she running show business? Right?
And then we part ways.
Oh.
Here's the thing about Paula Bell's fine. She's a perfectly fine comic. But she's a better writer for me than a stand-up. But here's literally, I would order something and she'd go, "You're so funny." And I'd say, "Yes, I'm hilarious." And she goes, "No, I didn't mean that." No, of course you're funny. So it literally led to her. And 3 times she said, I would just try to make conversation and she'd go, "You're so funny." And I was like, yeah, I do stand-up. And she's like, "No, I didn't mean..." And literally, she was like, I was like, "Stop hitting me in the face."
I don't understand that conversation that she had with you. Like, that makes no sense to me.
She kept saying that I was not funny as a comic, that I was a ridiculous person. I mean, literally, she was like, "What? You're so fucking weird. Why are you so weird?" And I'm like, I'm just standing
Jackie,
here ordering a juice.
I can't defend that behavior, but her behavior. But she always cracks me up on stage.
No. Well, and then she got on stage and she was really mad at the audience. This is not her fault.
That's my favorite comic. Is when they're mad at the audience. She's always mad at the audience.
But she didn't do any material. She just yelled at them.
Yes!
And she walked 3 of them.
That's what I love.
There were 9 people. She walked 3 of them.
Yes!
And then
more.
And then other comics had to go up. You would have hated it because about a year and a half ago you bitched about someone doing that.
Right. Well,
She was talking about how they were pieces of shit for coming out, and then 3 of them left.
Right.
And then 4 people remained. And she didn't use the mic at all. She just literally stood in the dark, like she stood to the side because it's the Improv Lab.
Yeah.
It was a bad night. She was half in the bag. Speaking of my sobriety,
she should have been last.
She should have been last. She
Right.
should have not been up. She should have said, I don't want to do it if there's only going to be 7 people
Okay,
there.
that sounds awful. The last time I saw her was many, many years ago at the comic strip, and she
Right.
was like this
She was
force
hilarious
of
in
nature.
96.
She might have been
In 96, when I met her
Oh,
at
man.
Aspen,
That's
she was fucking hilarious.
the worst
but
thing you've said about anybody.
Well...
That's
in 1996, Paula Bell was hilarious. Still, she referred to herself in the third person at that time, and it was exhausting. But it doesn't mean that she's always been, distantly polite to me. She's never been overtly rude. And I was just like, what the fuck why are you hitting me?
But here's the thing, okay, I can't defend her.
Well,
or
there's
anything.
no defense of it, and you haven't seen her in 4 years.
I haven't
yourself,
seen her
right?
in a while.
Yeah,
I think maybe I sent her an email or saying, I don't know, because she just came into my head. I just told her she was hilarious. And I thought she said she was working at Costco, but I couldn't tell if she was joking. And I was like angry.
She referred to herself as a granny 3 times. So I take it she might have taken time off from stand-up and gone into
she has
breeding.
a kid. I always have extra empathy for someone that has a kid, a mom with a kid, a mom comic.
I have less, weirdly enough. I'm just like, the condom was invented in the 1700s. That's what we always told our father. I'm the youngest of 6.
But here's the thing, and this is so true at this festival, is comics are, for the most part, don't know how to talk to people. And so they go up on stage and they tell jokes, and that's how they communicate with people.
Right.
And so we're all like in this weird room at the end of the night, and there's music. Like, we don't dance, we're comics, right? And there's a DJ, and some people are trying to be like, I'm gonna dance. Like, you can see them just going, I'm gonna be normal, and trying to act a certain way. And I before this festival started, I just was like, I just want to remind myself that not only am I not good at it, I'm 53, so I'm better at it than I ever was.
You keep telling people how old we are.
That's my theory of why they put this.
In
Why
the
they put this
afternoon?
now? They're like, what will industry not want to go to? Oh, 2 middle-aged female comics talking about comedy. So we'll put the state of the industry opposite that, and that way there'll be no audience intersection. But I mean, there's a lot of comics that are probably super, super uncomfortable and nervous and don't know how to talk. And those conversations are very uncomfortable, but I'm just trying to remember, like have some empathy for the fact that it's really hard, this festival, and a lot of festivals are really hard for a lot of comics.
Oh, yeah. I literally ran into Maggie May in the food court when I was lost downstairs in this building. And at one point I actually said to her, I have to go. And she goes, I feel that. Do whatever you need to do. She was very sweet about the whole thing because I ran out of things to say.
Yeah.
Because I have, like, literally, conversationally, it goes, how are you? Anything you want to tell me about your work or your life? Normal sort of small talk.
Yeah.
And then there's silence, and unless they ask me the same questions back, and I'm still asking them questions, then the last question I have is, are you reading anything?
That's always the last question.
That's the last question.
They walk away from you.
Then they're usually not. Some of them are reading something. They're usually reading articles, very
That's
powerful
a great question.
articles. But I was like, because comics do have such terrible social skills, I have 4 or 5 questions I can ask you, and then I'm either going to work on my act at you, or
Every interaction is a possible set. Oh my God.
or you have to ask me those questions back,
Right.
and then I can tell you about my life, and then we will have had a conversation like I assume the rest of humanity is doing. But comics are the worst.
Well, also, I think a lot of us are, I've never been a drug user or a huge drinker, but a lot of people are sober now. And so I think it was
Or
easy.
not.
Well, I haven't seen
Actively.
a lot of drunk or high people.
I have.
Well, high I've seen, but
That's okay?
that's some people's
What's
normal
happening?
state. Like pot. Like before, I think a lot of people were doing hard drugs earlier, like maybe a decade ago, and it was more accepted. And
You got to hang out with the youth. They're still doing it, it turns out.
Are they doing hard drugs? They're doing heroin
Coke.
and meth at JFL.
Coke?
That's not a hard drug, Jackie. I do it all the time, please.
I love We're also the last generation that thinks Coke isn't a big deal, you guys.
I'm doing a thing at the Nest tonight, I think.
Are you?
Just like a little show at the Nest.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm back into comedy.
I
took a nice 20-hour vacation.
Are you
No,
going
I'm
home
leaving
tomorrow?
on Sunday. And I picked up an opening spot for Mike O'Brien at a show.
Nice. You picked up an extra set?
Yeah, on Saturday night.
Yesterday they called me to tell me I was doing a set last night at midnight, and I said, I'm here if I need anybody to do any stand-up before midnight. I'm available if you got anything. I don't have, maybe I can knock something out in French if you needed me to, but nothing. I didn't get any sets.
That's okay. My first set on Tuesday night was at midnight.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a horrible fly day. How much time do we have?
I don't know. Where are we at? It's, I think we're at, like 45. What? 45 minutes, yeah. Just 45.
Just 45, okay. So JetBlue.
You guys, yes?
So
you flew from New York.
Last week was Comic-Con, which is a big, the whole time I was worrying about getting enough spots in. I didn't enjoy Comic-Con, and I got enough spots, but I was freaked out about that. Then I had a book reading, Dead People Suck, at Skylight Books, and some people showed up, so that was kind of cool. And then that night I flew, I took a red-eye, took my beloved JetBlue red-eye, flight 358 from Burbank to JFK, and as we were taking off, the pilot goes, well, we have to stop in Salt Lake City for gas because they didn't have enough fuel. And so that's annoying.
Burbank didn't have enough jet fuel?
Here's the thing. Burbank has a short runway, so sometimes if it's windy, they have to dump some fuel so they can get off to the ground. So that happens
sounds
every once in a while.
environmental.
I don't think they dump it actually on the ground. I think that would be
God.
a huge
I don't
financial
know a
loss
lot
to
about-
JetBlue. They probably put it in a container. And then,
Like one of those red jugs?
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They have a bunch of those little red jugs. So then we're in the air, and then there's like noises on the plane. So the pilot says, all right, we're going to stop in Denver to figure out, I think we might need some maintenance on the plane. So
On the way to Salt Lake, they stopped in Denver?
after Salt Lake. We could have done some fucking maintenance, by the way.
Right. They have a socket set over there in Salt Lake.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So then we stop at Denver.
Metric and English. Go ahead.
Okay, so it takes a while to get a maintenance crew because it's the middle of the night, and then we get on the plane, we pull out, and then they take us back to Denver. The pilot has worked too many hours that shift, and so he can't fly. So now they have to get a whole new crew in.
Right.
And they can get everybody but the first lieutenant or the first captain or whatever. So otherwise, they have every slot filled in Denver. So they said, no, we'll fly a crew in from Long Beach, California, to fly this plane from Denver to JFK.
Wow.
And it ended up being 12 hours late, and I slept on the floor of Denver International. I felt like shit for days.
Right.
I was so mad.
Oh, it's bad enough when you get there.
I was tweeting about it, and so were other people on the flight, and we found each other.
In real life you found each other?
I looked up 358 Burbank and JetBlue, and there were like three of us just like, what the fuck? And so then we all connected.
Did you connect in real life?
No, but two of them follow me on Twitter. I didn't follow back.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, but it was awful.
That does sound awful. I flew, I don't know if you guys have flown WestJet. It's a terrible idea. And so...
Dude, you're gold on Delta. Why do you fly anything
diamond.
but Delta? Oh, okay. Is
Pardon
that higher
me.
or lower?
It's higher.
Oh, sorry.
Pardon me. And but no, I flew. It's a Delta flight, but they use WestJet.
Oh.
So I booked the flight from LAX to Montreal on Delta, but it was a connecting flight in Minneapolis. And so I had to, after I made, this is a fascinating story, after I made the reservation, I had to call WestJet because they won't let you pick your seat unless you pay them. You have to pay them an extra $25 or they assign you a seat the day before.
What are these airlines doing?
Well,
they're just finding every new way to just
It's
get more
because of the
money from you.
algorithms. When you Google, like if you go on, you're like, I need the cheapest flight flight from this place to this place, the algorithm brings up the cheapest flight. The cheapest flight does not include baggage or picking your own seat. So I think, personally, that it's part of the social contract of every airline to bring me and my ass and my stuff across the country. That was, and I'm willing to, I'd like to pay for all of it at once, please. And so it was another $50 for a seat
Oh my God.
from Minneapolis to Montreal, and then a seat from Montreal to Toronto to LAX back. And then my luggage was free going there because I checked it with Delta and LAX, but it will not be free coming home because I have to check it with WestJet, and I have to go in early because I can't even print a boarding pass, even though I do have a chair. I have a seat that they have granted me.
I am outraged.
I loathe WestJet with the power of the sun.
WestJet more than I hate our time slot. Let me tell you something.
I tweeted at them and I called them the Spirit Airlines of Canada. Ooh,
oh man,
burn!
When I was going through my dad's stuff after he died, praying I wouldn't find porn, and I didn't because he truly was a saint.
Or he purged it. Good for you.
No, but he would write letters to companies complaining about things. And I don't have his letters, but I have all the return letters. And one of his insane ideas, either it was Pan Am or TWA writing a letter back to Mr. Kilmartin. Dear Mr. Thank you for your suggestion that we don't carry luggage in the plane and that people fly without luggage. And they basically explained to my dad why passengers needed to have their luggage on the plane.
They're going to want other pants once they get to the new place.
I don't know what he was thinking. But because at first I was like, Fox News took over his brain after
fall far from the tree
after 9/11. But I was like, he had funky,
it's not efficient,
weird ideas in the 70s,
right?
And then I don't know. I just wish my dad was around so I could ask him. What the fuck?
Yeah. What were you thinking? My father, I just talked to him. He told me that he got rid of 20 pairs of trousers and 10 pairs and 10 shirts because one of my brothers told him that he doesn't want to go through his stuff after he dies and throw away a bunch of clothes. Mm-hmm. And I said, wow, so 10 years from now, when you're looking for a shirt, why don't you make Phil buy you one? And because he's like, yeah, but bell bottoms aren't really in. And I didn't have the heart to explain to him that they actually are.
But he's 80.
He's 81.
What's in?
Well, my father does. My father is a dapper man, and he's working the room, and he's hoping that the ladies give a shit. And I say if it keeps him young, do whatever you... No, not do whatever you want. I don't want to open it up to that. It's the greatest... I was talking to him also about how a lot of his dirtbag friends are dying, and I was like, it's kind of great, Dad. You're going to hang out with better people. And he literally said to me, no, I know young dirtbags. And I was like, I'm so sorry to hear that. And he's like, there's new bagmen every year. Anyway, so.
I'm doing What's Your Fucking Deal tonight.
What's that?
It's Big J's show that he did on CISO. I think it might have been called that or something close to it. But basically, it's a crowd work show. And I just found out Ari Shafir is in the audience, which is very helpful. Because what it is Jay will do crowd work, and Ari will bring the mic to somebody in the audience, and either they kind of, between the two of them, they'll get some goo from this person, and then they bring up other comics to do the same thing. And I did it at Comic-Con, and because Big J had a show at the Team Coco Comedy Club that Conan had up for a week, and it was tough. I was up late. All the good people had been talked to. All the kooky people. And then it was like guys and dockers and stuff. And they were really tired.
It's so funny that's...
But I'm going to ask them, what are you reading? That's a great question. Instead of what do you do for a living? Who fucking care? I got to come up with some good questions to ask that are weird.
Especially if you go up late.
Yes.
Yeah. What are you reading is always a good one. Because and then if people stall, and sometimes they say, I don't read. You're like, you're lying, because they're on Twitter. It's like, who do you follow on Twitter? If they tell you that they're not reading and they won't tell you the last article they read, just say, who are you following on Twitter?
I will, and I will not credit you for these ideas.
Please do not. Please just run with it and make a gajillion dollars. By the way, we have a Patreon. Anyway, so...
our Patreon, everything I try to do doesn't work. I try to do these extra things for our Patreons and our patrons, and the video doesn't work. We shot a video last night. I put it up on Vimeo, and then I put the link on Patreon. It's not playing. It's really annoying. Right? Are you guys bored? I just saw you lean over. What? You have another show?
Oh, yeah, you guys going to go see something at 6? At 7, but we have to have dinner. You have to eat.
Oh, you're hungry.
Our
audience is hungry.
Who are you going to see? Who? Oh, Yashere.
Oh, yeah, Yashere, right?
Yeah, it's Judy Yashere. She's a delight. I'm working with her next week in Milwaukee at a benefit for an abortion clinic in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Because they just stopped being hungry.
It's not a miscarriage clinic. What?
No. No, we're surprised anyone stayed whatsoever. So
you've done the Lord's work. Yeah.
Oh, I understand.
Have a sticker. There you go.
Oh my God. Jackie lifted them up and threw them 2 inches. And you made hungry people get up and do extra work.
What are you going to get? You going to get some Portuguese chicken?
Something quick.
Oh, I want you to get Portuguese chicken.
That doesn't
Montreal's
sound quick.
Doing amazing chicken. Oh, is it? Oh, very nice.
Classic Canadian food.
Well,
okay. Does anyone else have to go to a show? Okay,
no.
You're drinking.
That lady in the third row.
By the way, I notice all your movements, okay? You think you're doing things furtively? I see you itching. I see you squirming. I know it. That's why I don't go up with a story I don't have a punchline to. I see the squirming. Okay, you guys are free to go. That's
You're
okay.
free to go.
Thank you.
What do you...
Say goodbye to these brave soldiers.
Yay!
They fought a good fight.
You stuck it out as long as you could. Good for you.
Have fun at
What do you
Gina's
think
show?
What do you think about harvesting old tweets from Sarah Silverman and Patton Oswalt?
Say, what do you think about ending this podcast right now? I think it's ridiculous. It's well, they were going after Michael Ian Black and
Patton and Sarah
That was a
Silverman.
pretty good molestation joke Sarah had. I liked it. I thought it was funny. It was. I'm going to paraphrase it. It's not going to be exactly what she said, but it was about molestation and how soon before it was. It made it sound like the child was coming onto her and she didn't know what to do. It's a fun look. Okay, it's got to be in your wheelhouse. You got to like molestation jokes. I don't mind any jokes that are funny and just weird.
No,
of course, she's not a child molester.
I'm pro all jokes that are funny.
Yeah, child molesters don't joke about it, okay? They're actually very secretive about it, okay? They don't want people to know about it. Actual pedophiles are on the DL, okay? Oh my God!
It's true. They're
not
running for
crafting
state
tweets about
assembly in Georgia. That's what they're doing.
Yes,
and they're trying to have you not know that they have.
They're doctors and coaches at universities. Okay, they're not fucking comedians.
Right. Oh, do you remember that? I showed you that article about the comedian. This was the headline: "Aspiring comedian murders his mother." And if I ever end up in the paper, please do not refer to me as an aspiring comedian.
Call me a failed comedian.
Call me. She didn't have work this week, so she killed everyone. Keisha. That's
a closing laugh. Have we done enough time?
She would have told us.
No. How much? They're studying
are we close
what their
to
next
an hour?
show
How are we
is.
doing?
How much time have we done? No, 25 minutes?
Yeah.
Wait.
Live it up.
No, absolutely not. I refuse to believe that.
Well, why don't we take questions from the audience? Does
I don't
anyone
have
a
25 minutes. Wait, when did we start talking extemporaneously?
You've done the Lord's work.
Oh my God, everyone's fleeing for their next shows.
That's because you're driving them out. Don't Paula Bell this. Oh. Anyway, so...
oh my God.
She was hilarious.
The insults
when
don't
she
stop.
does regular stand-up, I like Paula Bell.
Okay.
And if she listens to this, no one's going to be more surprised than me if I get an email saying, what the fuck? But I'm going to say, hey, you were mean.
Let me ask them, how long do you think we're doing?
Wow, I don't want to hear about your pain.
What?
So we did like 10-minute sets.
Yeah. So
Maybe.
that's not 25 more minutes. We're right at an hour.
Right, but we were supposed to go to 6. So we could do another 10.
Okay.
Does anyone...
And I'm in a comfy chair.
You're in a comfy chair. These people are riveted by your personality. They want to know what it was like in the 80s when you started doing stand-up comedy. Was it a different time? Was it a simpler time? Was cocaine a drug back then? What was it like?
There are so many comics that have been doing it 10 years that are acting like they're grizzled veterans. I can't listen with a straight face anymore about how long they've been doing comedy.
I know.
And they have more Netflix shit going on than I do.
Right.
Which is zero. I mean, everyone does. So does that aspiring comedian who murdered his family. He and I have the same career on Netflix.
Doug Stanhope's going to go visit him. Because that's what he does. He likes to find people that are in jail and then go visit them, and he loves it when they pretend to be comics. And then but after I showed you that, I looked up his career, his aspiring career, and he's not a stand-up. He's a sketch comic. Oh, and I was going to ask you.
Well, that makes total sense. Stay away from those motherfuckers. They are all murderers. They're sketch people.
They're all murderers. It's what about? I was going to ask because if Big J is doing crowd work and calling it stand up,
it's called What's Your Fucking Deal. It's not calling it stand up. It's a comedy show of crowd work only.
Okay, yeah. There's I'm exhausted by the theme. I just want to do I've taken the time to write stand-up comedy. Please don't make me play Jenga and then tell my jokes.
He does. That's what he does. So it is his show. I mean, I'm a guest on his show. I can do crowd work. I like to back into crowd work, like tie it into a joke or just be. All right, I can't believe I'm forced to go on to 6 o'clock with this. You've run out of ideas yourself, and you're just trying to prove it now.
I am having the time of my life.
By the way,
can I just tell you guys?
I keep running into people, and I know them, but I can't remember their name.
Everybody there's 6 people in the fucking world. Everybody, whatever you look like, I've seen it, and you have to introduce yourself.
When I know their name, I shout it. Like I saw Chris Gethard, I'm like, Chris, hi!
I've seen Gary Mann 3 times. I was like, Gary Mann. And then yesterday I went on a long walk, found out the hard way that Montreal does not have lift. So I had to walk back and my foot really hurt. And so the elevator was closing and I said, Gary Mann, hold that elevator.
Well, look at you, first and last name.
I'm a big fan of first and last name. It helps me remember people if I have their first and last name.
I thought I was talking to Gary Mann last night, but then
Jeff Singer? Was it Jeff Singer?
No, it wasn't. Okay. When the guy left, it wasn't Gary Mann. Either way, I didn't say much because I wasn't 100% sure.
Right.
But I didn't say Gare. That was my triumph.
I was so tired from that walk, and then I ran into 5 comics that I wanted to talk to at length. Maggie May, Judah Friedlander, Chad Daniels, Sean Patton.
Chad Daniels is here?
Yeah.
Cool.
Sean Patton.
I've seen the rest of those. I
Helen
haven't seen
Maggie. Dulce Sloan.
I ran into her.
I was like, why don't we just go get coffee? And they're like, gone. Because everyone's just sort of either finding a corner to hide in or they have to go talk. They have to be interviewed by Netflix.
Judah's just on the couches by the elevator. He's just out on the couches like this, legs akimbo. He's ready to talk to anybody. You could just sit next to Judah and do a little bit. Judah's one I recognize instantly. There's no one that looks like Judah. It's great.
Right. Yeah. Judah's. It's the hat helps.
I'm gonna have a hard time putting my legs together. I like sitting like Judah. This is the way to live.
If you're gonna find a new uncle, you gotta.
Oh man, I thought I went to that well too many times. That's the 5th uncle callback for the first one for this podcast. So luckily it makes no sense.
There you go. So it's people gotta they gotta figure it out. So what are you working next week?
Yes, I was gonna take these 2 weeks off and take my son to Germany so that he could feel comfortable amongst the German people, and then maybe go to college there one day.
Right.
Because it would be free for us.
And they're going to be the heroes in World War III.
Exactly.
So good for them.
But instead, we're going to Cincinnati, Ohio.
That's right. You're doing like Go Bananas
And
or
we're going to
something,
go
right?
bananas, and the doctor said he could fly by next week. And I figured he's either at home alone with my mom all day, who is just now walking around the house like Maggie Smith in Downton Abbey, just like she's going to order troops to India or something. Just look like moving with a cane and looking at everything. Or I bring him with me to Cincinnati, and maybe we could do one activity a day before his leg hurts too much, and then he could just sit in the hotel room and play video games like his horrible, wonderful. The summer sucked because he is on off his feet, but it's great because he's been on YouTube nonstop. So
right.
He's
and
making the best
he's making some real Overwatch. What is he playing? Fortnite?
Fortnite, yes.
He's making some real inroads, you guys. He's doing good work. Did he use the comic book thing that I gave him?
Maybe.
Book?
I don't know. I haven't seen him.
Okay.
And guess what? I don't call.
You don't.
I don't call him. I'm like, it's our vacation from each other. I get to pretend I'm a comic only.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But I get the credit for being a mom because I do mom jokes, but I'm not parenting one fucking bit at this at this festival.
You're sleeping it out.
And plus, we'll be all over each other in Cincinnati.
He'll be right there.
Yeah.
Saying, what are you doing now, Mom? What are you doing now?
I won't be able to get away from him.
It's true. What is there to do in Cincinnati, I wonder? Yeah, that's about it.
Let's end on that laugh, please. It's 5:56.
Lori would like to leave now. So thank you so much for supporting Alive, Jackie and
Yay,
Laurie.
thanks for coming to our show.
You guys can have stickers if you want.
We have stickers if you want them.
Now leaving Nerdist.com.